Cheers to God. Get ready for an extraordinary episode. Our guest today is gonna leave you at the edge of your seat. Seeking for the success and powers of life, ended up in an unexpected place, including the occult. He faced incredibly twists and turns in life. But in all of that, surprisingly, God had transformative destiny. Today, we are going to hear a testimony that will transform our lives. A testimony that is filled with grace, the power of God, favor of God, and above it all, a message filled with God's wisdom. Thank you again for sitting locked in your seat once again to watch Cheers to God with all of us. Share, connect with your friends, subscribe, and let everyone know that God is about to do amazing things in your life. Once again, I'm Nana Morrison, and I am forever going to be your host. Again, I am going to thank my spiritual parent, Bishop Frank Ofosu-Opia, Pastor Mary Ofosu-Opia, Reverend Obiri Ajekum, and Lady Gifty Obiri Ajekum. I want to say God bless you for your prayers. My management, Miss Nita of Star Effect, I love you dearly. Thank you. And our guest for today is Pastor Gabe. Pastor Gabe, good evening for being on Cheers to God.
Good evening. God bless you.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be in this studio. I thank God for what God is using you to do.
Amen.
Especially in this cyberspace where we need a lot of the voices of God to be heard.
Yes.
And this is one of those channels that God will use to touch lives.
Amen.
So thank you for accepting the call. Because sometimes people don't understand that the media ministry is the last mountain. And if we don't do well on this, Jesus is not coming.
Pastor, today we want to, they say experience is the best teacher, but we have come to realize that we don't always have to go through the experience. But learning from the wise is important. So we want your life journey, your story, and how God has transformed you today to be a lesson for us, to guide us in life and in the Word. We can all testify that the Bible has been a guide for us. So if a man like you has put in your life in the hands of God and you have testimonies to share with us, please, we want that to be a guide again for us. Thank you for being on Cheers to God. So we're going to take you back to when you were a little boy, filled with dreams and aspiration. What home did you grow up in? And tell us about your childhood.
Okay, thank you very much, listeners. I just want to use this opportunity to thank my wife also. She's supposed to be here, First Lady Gabe C Ezeobele. And I know she's going to watch this. But my childhood was a very, very interesting one. You know, after the war in Nigeria, the Biafran War, which a lot of lives were devastated, my dad lost his brother. So he became the only surviving son of his mother. So his father has two wives. So now the need to have a wife the burden was upon him. My dad came back, my grandmother and other women has already found a wife for him. He kind of protested, but he has to bow to the wish of the mom. He wanted to go out there and, make money and survive first, but marriage was presented to him just at the beginning of coming back from the devastation of 3 years of brutal war. That story is a story for another day. So my dad and my mom never knew each other. But my grandmother knows my mom's parents and everything was arranged. And then they got married. But my dad left my mom and went to the city and began to hustle. So my auntie, my dad's elder sister, took my mom to another city. So in the course of that, my sister was born. So my mom now told me the story. I'm just trying to begin from the beginning. That my dad kept telling her, if you give birth to a girl again, I'm going to marry another wife, because my dad really wanted a male child because he has lost his brother. My mom was very young. She didn't know what to do. So when my mom finally joined my dad in the city where my dad is living in Cross River, she was already pregnant. So that word, keep playing in her mind. And then she told me later that when she was almost due, one day my dad was very angry. My dad said, if this child is a girl, you are going to be just by yourself. I'll marry another wife. So she was so scared. She was about 19 or 18 then. And she said she went to the church and prayed and begged God that God should make this child, which is me now, to be a male child. And, if there was, what's it called, ultrasound then, and they could have seen that because she was already due. They could have seen that I was a male child. But to God be the glory, she gave birth to me. I was a male child. My dad was so happy. My mom told me that my child dedication was bigger than their wedding. My dad called everybody. He was very happy that he has an heir. But that was where my journey began. Okay. So that vow was made. Nobody was there. It was just my mom. Nobody was consulted in this vow. So growing up in the family, my dad was doing business. He sell cars and spare parts. And he's involved with a lot of things, even in politics then in Cross River. My mom has a shop. So we grew up in a kind of a well-to-do family. We have servants and boys serving my dad, people working for my mom. And I see money on any side. If I go to my dad's side, I will see money. I come to my mom's side. So I wanted to be in business all my life. So that was, even most times, I will be in the shop with my mom. My dad cannot see me in the shop. When he sees me, he say, what are you doing there? Go back home. Then I will go. But my mind was stuck in that business.
But what did your father want you to become?
My father wanted me to be a lawyer.
Okay.
I don't know why, but he wanted me to be a lawyer. I could have been a good lawyer anyway. So he wanted me to go to school by all means. I wanted to go to school, but I wanted to do business first. I've seen my future, how it's going to be. I know people that were, in education then.
How did you see your future then? How it was going to be?
I knew there was what they used to call me. One of my friends, he passed last year, and he gave me that name. He said that the way I talk, I'm like a Obelenwa is a small child that money answers to. That's what they call me, a child that money answers. So among my mates, when we come to the village or when I'm with my mates, I always have money more than everybody. Okay. So because there's money on both sides. So something will happen and they'll get money. If I go work for my mom, she pays me anyway. You just give me some money. So the guys say they keep calling me that name, that I'm a child that money answers to. So it kind of went into my mind that I'll be above all my mates.
Did you succeed in business?
Did very, very well. Extremely well. We just wanted to have more than enough. Okay. So, when you have, one thing I discovered about life, there's no stage in life that we are always secured or comfortable, especially when you are very, very motivated person, which I know I have that zeal. I never get comfortable with life. It doesn't matter what I have achieved. I will be happy at that stage, but I want to see what is above me. Yeah. So I might not be looking at that more at the first time, because at every point in time, I'm looking at what is my preview. What is the next step? So that next step becomes my goal. So if you know me with that goal, then you come back, see me going for something else. You might think, this was his goal. I thought he should relax now. No, just keep going.
In business, you really did not relax. You wanted something more. So
I wanted more.
Where did your more lead you to?
Oh, it didn't. It lead me to terrible places because as a very, very young man, we had so much power. Okay. Then it was military rule in Nigeria. I was earlier. I started in Onitsha, moved to Lagos. It's a long story, but just to make it to be faster, in Lagos, I met my cousin. He was in textile in a place called Balogu, Lagos. And in those days, ₦1 million was a lot of money. I think 1993, 94, he gave us that money. I was doing business, have a shop, was bringing in textile materials from Kaduna, from this place called Ikorodu, Lagos. We have accounts with many textiles companies. So, and we have people coming from Abidjan, from Ghana, from Togo, Mali, Lome to come and buy those Nigerian wax. That's what I was dealing with.
So looking at the way you were very wealthy, looking at the way you were succeeding in business, what was your lifestyle?
It's a flamboyant lifestyle as a young man in their 20s. And, you grew up from a place where you were not struggling and coming into this kind of immense of wealth.
So were you a smoker? Were you a womanizer?
We did more than that then.
Go into it a little bit. Cause
we did more than that because we were very, 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 my friends and my mates then, in those days when we go to some of the nightclubs in Lagos, we're always in the VIP. We order the best of whatever they have that is best there. That's what we take. It doesn't matter how much it costs. So spending money was not the problem. And also making money was not the problem. But there was something that happened that affected our business.
Okay.
When the government came in, they moved from military to democratic again when Obasanjo came in 1999. Before then, the banks started failing. 1997, 98, a lot of banks were failing. And, our business is highly capital intensive. We borrow money from the banks to do business. So now the banks are dragging you to pay back. And most times you don't have the cash, but the money is in goods. So when you are selling and they are taking the cash from you, you don't have liquid cash to buy more. So most times you have a lot of goods, but no cash. So we started doing deficit spendings. That's when we start to go into trouble. Not that you don't have the money, but the money is not liquid.
It's just in your produce.
Yes. So we now was borrowing more. So that quest to borrow more, when Obasanjo came in, interest rate moved from 19% to 23% and moved to 30-something%. So some people were wiped out because you are already in debt and they increase the interest rate. With you being in debt, there's no way to pay back that money. So, but all these things works together for good. So,
interest rate is high. Business is not doing well as it's supposed to do. I believe your lifestyle is now it's not as flamboyant as it was.
Yes.
And you made mention that you actually went to the occult.
Yes, I did. One of my friends, that he was not in the business I was in, but he kind of noticed that something has changed. Sometimes they call me to come out. I don't want to come out. He called me, say, what's the problem? I told him, I say, I need money, but I couldn't access money from most of the financial institutions. And he said, no, I can take you to somebody that any amount you need here, you get it. So I say, where? He said, don't worry, let me make the arrangement and I will let you know. So we're 4 of us. 2 of us were in the same business. 2 of us, him and the other guy was in something else. But we're all friends. We meet in clubs and we hang out in Ikeja. In those days, Ikeja was like the top of the top in Lagos. So there was Victoria Land and Ikoyi, but there was no Lekki. All these places were just new then. So he took us to Ijabode. That's the place in Ogun State. And he has been frequenting there. He was known. So when he came, he spoke Yoruba very well, fluently. And they took us in. We removed our shoes. We sat down and waited for the man to come. So when he came, the shrine was in a tree, very big tree in the compound. So people would come and sit down there. A lot of sick people. People come from everywhere. So everything was so weird to me. But I was looking what is happening because I told you my mom, our house was church. Every priest eat from our home. So we grew up knowing all the Anglican priests, bishops, they come. My mother would cook for them. So that is a strange thing for me. But I needed the power. Whatever would break me forth, I wanted it. So when it came to us, the guy couldn't communicate to his shrine and he said that everybody should go back out. And they drove everybody out and people started coming in.
So you went with a guy to the shrine?
Yes, we went, 4 of us, we went to the shrine. So when it came to our time for us to see the priest or whatever they call him, and the man tried to communicate to the shrine, he could not. So he called us and said we should go get out. We went out, they spoke, and the guy told us that everybody should go out. So everybody in the whole compound went out. So people started coming one at a time. He wanted to pinpoint who is shutting down his shrine. So people will come back and sit down. People will come and sit down. So when I came in, I sat down. He said, I should stand up. I stood up. He said, I should go out. I went out. They called me to come back. I came back. He said, I should never enter his compound again.
So you went to him seeking for power. And now this powerful person is telling you don't come back to a shrine again because you're shutting down
He said
a
he
shrine.
couldn't communicate to his gods.
He's not able to communicate. To
So when I come in, the shrine cannot speak back to him.
And at that time, you
I
had
was
no
wondering.
idea what that was.
I don't know what this was. And everybody was looking at me like, strange, this guy, what are you doing here?
Yes.
So my friends were saying, oh, you have something you don't want to give us. Can you help us? Oh, I said, no, I don't have anything. And they said, the man said that I have something. You know, he was speaking Yoruba. He said that what I came with is bigger than his shrine. So I left. I said, maybe this man is just crazy. I wasted my
Did that
time.
thing not lead you to asking questions?
Yes, I went now because of that. When I came back, because my friends now, they felt that
You carried something.
I just didn't want to tell them. So when I came back, I went into this deep thought. I began to research. I went to a couple of prayer houses. Some of them were just out of order. They didn't know what to do. They were just going somewhere. I went to these white garment churches and they prayed, and they would tell me, oh, you have to make sacrifice and all that. But all those things were just a scam. Nobody was really going to.
So you're still looking for power. For some reason, where they took you to the occult, you didn't get it.
Yes.
You have been kicked out because you're carrying something powerful. And you're still broke. You're still not finding the reason why things are not working out.
Yeah, and because I'm still spending money because my bills are very big. I see old banks and they're still coming for their money. So when I make money now, every money just go back to pay debt. And it was very, very tough.
So now you were asking questions.
So I was asking all kinds of questions. And there's this guy next to my house. I knew him all this while. He's a pastor, but we see him as somebody that is not just...
I mean, your neighbor, you just play with him, like just
I say,
jokes.
what does he want? So most time when we are smoking at the security gate in front of the house, he will come there. He's from my tribe, Igbo. He will start to speak to us. He tried to talk to us, say we are young men, we should serve God. Well, I look at him, this guy is poor. What do you want? If you want money, we'll give you money.
He said he's poor.
So... I saw him that day. He looked at me and said, look, there's something troubling you that God have been speaking to him about me. That was kind of personal. So I later went to his house, went to his fellowship. Everything was in one room. So the phone was by the wall, the stove by the... So when they have fellowship during the week, they will just move the bed up and everybody would gather there sweating.
He was poor.
So I came there. It was strange. People would come and consult him in that house.
But he carried something.
He carried something.
Yeah,
He's very
he
powerful.
carried power.
So they preached prayer. I stayed in the back. Everybody left. I didn't want to talk to him when I sat down with him and he looked at me and he laughed. He said that he has been trying to get my attention, but now that God has brought me, I said, God did not bring me. I just came to see you.
Did you even know God?
I knew God because I was born as a Christian and I really know the Bible.
Okay.
Growing up, my mother really grounded us. I was number 2 in the whole of Cross River State in Bible quiz.
Oh.
In Boys Brigade, I was a captain. I taught Bible studies as a child.
You just didn't have the relationship.
Yes. Okay. So the dogma and the doctrines were there.
Okay.
So, but now he's trying to talk to me in a different language that I'm not used to. I was born Anglican. So in the Anglican church, the hierarchy, the priest is well respected. But this pastoral thing was kind of new to me. So the guy was telling me, say, look, what you are going through now is what your mother did. So,
what your mother did?
That made this to happen.
What did she do?
It was strange. And he couldn't say it. He said that's all he sees, that what the Lord is saying is that I should go ask my mother what she did before she had me. So, when you hear that in the African setting, the first thing is that probably she went to the witch doctor, or go to the water or some kind of spirit to get me. So he couldn't explain further.
Yeah.
You know how prophecy come. Now I understand his positioning. God will give you things in badges. And sometimes you never see the whole prophecy. So I left. He didn't still solve my problem. Made arrangement to go and see my parents in Cross River. Finally went.
At the Nana Morrison Foundation, we support children and widows, providing long-term solutions to help lift them out of poverty. We believe the Word of God cannot be shared on an empty stomach. So please, donate to support. And let's end starvation and hunger. We accept and encourage donations from anyone, but our best partners are you, the local churches and faith-based community. Your support, big or small, can make a huge impact on other people's lives. Please, donate.
Or some kind of spirit to get me. So he couldn't explain further.
Yeah.
You know how prophecy come. Now I understand his positioning. God will give you things in badges. And sometimes you never see the whole prophecy. So I left. He didn't still solve my problem. Made arrangement to go and see my parents in Cross River. Finally went after about a month ago, but I was troubled throughout. So I'm just now being depressed. A lot of things were going into. Sometimes I don't go out, go to my business, because things are not flowing the way it's supposed to flow. But people still see me as somebody that is doing extremely well.
You carry the grace.
As a young man. But I knew that things were going bad. And if nothing happens, I'll be in a lot of debt. Because I was spending money I don't have. So I went to my parents. My mother was very happy to see me, and she asked me, I told her why I came. She couldn't remember anything. It was so strange for me to come and say, what did you do before you gave birth to me? And she couldn't picture anything. And I told my dad that I went somewhere, and my dad was telling me that those pastors are criminals, that they need to be arrested and all that. So, and that was my mind. I said, if my mother could not give me an answer, if I come back to Lagos, I'm going to deal with that pastor.
You already want to find a way to deal with him.
Yes. So my mom said nothing. First day, second day, third day. That day before I left, the night, she came to me. She said she doesn't know if this is what is it. I said, what is that? She said, when I was pregnant of you, your dad was always telling me, and my dad was sitting down there for the first time. My dad was so sober. Your dad keep chastising me with words, verbally telling me that I've come to give birth to girls, that if I give birth to another girl, that he will marry another wife. Oh, so she said she was so scared because she never knew this man. It was kind of arranged, and they got married, and now this man that she's trying to learn to love and know, good, great provider, hard worker, is now telling her that somebody else is going to come in to their home and, be with them. So my mom was terrified. Nobody to tell. There was no cell phone then and all that. So she was so disturbed. She began to pray, asking God to help her that I become a male child. So before she gave birth, my dad told her that again. She was very heavy. And my auntie came. My auntie, she was living with in Edo State in Benin then. She came down. So my mom went and told my auntie what my dad said. So my auntie held my dad and brought him to the room, say, all these things you are telling this young girl that we just gave to you, you don't even deserve her. And you have been breaking her heart and all that, that you have to deal with me. So my mom said, after my auntie left, my dad stopped talking to her about it, but my dad just cut her off. So she's like, she has made the thing worse because whatever my auntie said to my dad, which was my father's elder sister, my dad just left her in limbo. So she doesn't have her husband. She can't talk to the boys that work for my dad. She doesn't have friends there. She just moved to that city. So she went to the church and told God that if I become a male child, that she would give him to God.
Oh, just like what Samuel.
Yeah, Samuel.
What his mom did. Anna did.
So my mom did that. So she told me that. I said, is that it? I said, but this is not, you didn't do anything. I looked at it so simple. Because when it's God, we think God is just a very easygoing father. Yeah. He can just let go. But God is a deity.
So now you know what she did.
I knew, but I didn't really believe that will be what this pastor was saying. I wanted to hear more dramatic thing, whether there was a sacrifice made, something that really, maybe they called me from the water.
I mean, now you know.
I know now. Then I didn't know. So I say, is that? He said, yes. So my dad started apologizing to her. My dad was very, very sober. I never see that side of my dad before. My dad used to come very serious, always in charge of situation. But that very day, he was very vulnerable. He was just looking. He now was begging my mom. Say, so all these years, you never told me anything.
So as a man trying to seeking for answers, now you've found this answer. But for you, it's not something that you were expecting. It sounds so simple.
Yes.
So then what was the turning point of you, that word becoming a word for your life?
Yeah, I came back to Lagos, told the pastor what I discovered. He said, yeah, but I didn't believe all that. I thought those things were just a lie.
Okay.
So I come once in a while to support his ministry. He was trying to tell me what to do and how to,
get out of the debt and all that.
Yeah, he was not even talking about my business. He said, your business can go, but you have to serve God now, since you know this. But that is opposite of what I am planning for myself. So I did not take him serious until there was this one girl that invited me to a program in their church. So they have a program. She told me to come. I went out with my friends that night. We were drunk even. I came, I sat in the back just for her to see me. She's an usher in the church. I make sure she saw that I came. I sat there. And the pastor that was preaching did all what he was in, which I was not interested in. But he came to the back and looked at me and said, young man, stand up. So I looked at the back if there's somebody else. So he pointed at me. I didn't even want to look at say, stand up. That was an embarrassment. I was so angry. Why will he pick me out in this big congregation? People were standing and he's looking at me. So I stood out. He said, come out. I didn't come out. So he came back to where I am. And he said, look, you have been going everywhere looking for the answers to your problem. But the answer is you answering that call.
Which is to serve God.
Yes. So he didn't mention it that way. He said, until you answer that call, you will not have peace. He said, what is happening? The hand of God is upon you. Nobody is holding you. So all those things are not in line with what I want to hear. When he said that, I left. I didn't just stay in that program again. I left. I went back home. I began to meditate on that. So I began to look for the major pastors in Nigeria. Maybe they can help me. I said, okay, if I could go and sow a seed. I don't want to mention
now you
them.
realize that the one fighting you is God.
Yes. So I thought I'm going to bribe God. I said, okay, maybe if I give him money, he will just say, okay, you go away. So I took some good money, went to this pastor, told him my journey. He said, don't worry, pray for me. He said, God is going to make you a financial apostle. So he prayed for me, collected the money, and nothing happened. Went to another pastor. I was running around. The guy that was next to me was keep calling me. I was dodging him. I didn't want to do anything with him. But finally, I moved him from that house. The house was too small. Moved him to, I think a 2-bedroom house, and him and his wife. And they used the living room now to do their ministry, which was even much better. He was very happy, wanted me to stay with him. But that's not where I want to be. So, but there's this girl also in my street that for no reason, I just picked eye on her.
You like her?
Yes. Very small girl. And I see her too small for me. Because,
but you like it.
Yeah, just like every time she keeps saying, oh, if you want me, you have to come to our church. I say, where's your church? The church is where I live.
Okay.
I live upstairs. The church is downstairs. They come to our church. I say, okay, I'm going to come. So I won't come. So that day I saw her. She passed again. He said, I'm coming. I'm going to church. Are you coming today? I said, yeah, I'm coming. I went into the church, sat down in the church, listening to the music. The music was not that great because I come from a family of singers. My sisters, everybody. I was in the choir. I said, no, I think these people, they need some kind of... I went and joined the choir. And she was in the choir. She was very happy.
Because of this lady?
Yes. So I only see her in church. After service, she's gone. So when I'm trying to see her, she knows how to live. She will leave, and by the time I come out, she's gone. So I was trying to trace where did they leave. I said, don't worry, she'll come back to church tomorrow. And
then you be in church waiting.
Yes. I was coming. Then the thing shifted from her to the pastor picking interest in me. The pastor saw me very young, and if I come, a lot of young men come. Because in the street where we live, we move a lot of things around. So people know that this is where I go. Some people just want to come there.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, they want to come around. So the pastor want to keep me, and I liked it because that's where I live. So I was doing everything for him, helping him, running around. But not quite long again from that time, they had a program at which I came. And the visiting pastor called me up and said, what do you do here? I said, nothing. He said, no, your job here is to serve this man of God. So he told the pastor to remove his jacket and give it to me. I was bigger than the pastor, so there's no way I would wear the jacket. So the man just threw it on my body. Say, you have to enter into his shoe. I don't know what that really means then. He said, that's your job here. Don't do nothing. Serve this man of God. So I began to do that. And the man said to the pastors that were there, can we anoint him? This is a great man of God. So that was kind of strange. I've heard all these things, but nobody have called me to say, pour oil on me. And the pastors, they stood up. My pastor was kind of surprised. I think he wanted to protest, but he respects this person because he has boys that are serving him that are on the line. And this guy that is kind of mysterious, he knows my lifestyle because they see me come into the house. They know me, what I do. And I came into that church from nowhere. Another pastor is saying they're going to anoint me. I see on his face, he's not happy, but he didn't protest.
But they anointed you.
They anointed me. So after that anointing, everybody was saying, oh, congratulations, pastor. So that lady came to me outside and said, if everybody call you pastor,
me, I won't call you pastor.
I won't call you pastor. And she said she's going to leave. And she left. She never came to that church again.
I think her job was to take you to church.
Yes, I think that's what God wanted to do with her. Because all of a sudden, she brought me to that church, but my interest was making that church to be better. I was looking at their music was not good. I knew what I could have done for the music. I helped them, got the keyboardist that I was paying, put him on my payroll, and get some people to be singing. I was in part of the choir.
So, Pastor Gabby, looking at how you were doing business, looking at how everything was not going well, you were seeking for answers. You even went to the occult, still didn't get answers.
Yes.
Now that you come to Christ and they said, God is the one stopping this. So now, finally, you have been anointed.
Yes.
Did your business started working out the way you wanted?
No. Even I have to, because after all that, I went to that pastor now because he gives me sound counsel, the one next door. But he's not living there anymore. He has moved. So I went to him. I told him what has happened in our church. I was being anointed. He said, congratulations. Now you have to go and enroll in school, Bible school and all that, and do this and that and that. But that's not where I'm going. I told him, I said, can you talk to God?
Where are you going?
I said, can you just tell God, please, to let me go do my business? I've answered the call. I'm already serving. I'm doing everything for the church. I give money there also. So he said, it's not, he said, God, you can't bribe him. Say, you can't pay God. He said, but he told me one thing, which is that guy, I've been looking for him. God bless him. Pastor Eze, if you can watch this thing from anywhere, I don't know where he is. I want to see you. So he told me, he said, look, if you serve God very, very well, God will give you business and ministry at the same time. But you have to serve him first. He said, that business part of it is still there. He said, but you have to serve God very well. Then he will give you your business back. So I said, he doesn't know. So that was kind of a mystery. Then I was now involved in this church. The founder of the church lives in London. The church gets help from London. It's a small church. So when the lady came and saw me and saw some young men, she was very happy because she has been paying the bills of the church for a very long time. But now when she came, we had something to present. And when they were having a meeting on how the church can carry itself, I stood up in the meeting. I told her, I said, look, we can buy a bus. I said, if we have XYZ, I know people that bring in, I have friends that sell cars.
So your business expertise was working in the church. You were actually giving them business ideas.
I said, we can buy a bus, and in that bus, the church, you don't need to send money to the church anymore.
So Pastor Gabby, your relationship with God, what was the difference? What did you do different?
What I did differently was, that Pastor Eze, I didn't like seeing him, but he was the one that kind of holds my head down. I know about the administration of church, the business part, all that. But he will always tell me to go back and read the word, give me prayers. Like I was praying with him, but I never worship with him. I goes there like I become a friend of the church. I comes there, he respects my decision. But he was like my mentor.
So every pastor tells you carry an oil, like anointing on your head. They poured oil on you. You started building a relationship with God. Did God, in a vision, in any way confirm this to you?
Not immediately.
Okay.
It took time. God will let you be who you are. But now I was getting deeper. So the whole thing about my business was still not going anywhere. In fact, at the time, my pastor told me, now let's go to the banks that I was owing and tell them that they should give me more money. He wants me to come back to business so fast because I would do a lot for the church. But the other pastor is not even telling me about business. That's why I never go to him. So my pastor said, go back and tell them that you will pay your debt. They should give you more money and all that. So I went. I told the bank. I went to the headquarters of the bank. Went to the what's it called that time? CEO or president of the bank, whatever his name is. Told him about my account. He looked at the account. He said, wow, your account was doing well. What happened? We have been looking for you for this time. I told him all my long story and my journey. I said, but I want you to stop charging on that account and give me a new loan of 3 million and give me time to pay it. And he looked at me and laughed, say, young man, you are very bold.
You owe me all this money more.
Yeah. I said, yeah, but if you give me that money, you see the way I was doing, I will do it, I will come back. He said, no, we have had meeting a long time ago. See, this account is a bad debt. We have written it off. You don't owe us anything again. If you want to open an account today, you can open an account and start fresh. So I went to open an account. I came back and told him, I said, I've opened an account. He said, yeah, I run the account. And I said, but can you guys borrow me money? I keep coming. They didn't talk to me again. But that was how my debt were wiped off. And I was owing that bank a lot of money then. So I came back and told him.
First miracle God started doing.
That's the miracle. God now made me to be debt-free. But my pastor wanted me back in business. By all means, because
that was for his reason.
Yeah, now I know. Then I didn't know. I wanted, I like what he was telling me.
He was giving you your mind.
Yeah, everything. I said, go back. Yes. You can do this. So when I tried everything he has told me, I hit the wall. I said, I'm just going to leave Nigeria. I can't stay in Nigeria anymore. Let me go abroad. So I tried to travel. That's a long story. Went to different embassies. They didn't give me visa. South African embassy went there with all the documents. They stamped me red, say they are not going to let me travel. So I went and told that pastor, the one I was running away from, he looked at me and laughed. He said, your foundation has not released you. So you have to deal with your foundation. I said, what does that mean? He said, you have to go to your father's place and pray. So this time, I gathered some ministers. He went with me, not with my pastor. My pastor don't talk deliverance, but he has the right word. He can counsel you, make you feel good, but he never tell me, deal with spiritual things with me. Even though I've gone to Zoe ministry, then they were very big. We would pray like Power Arena, but I don't have a personal mentor. They come, they throw you in, and everybody will be firing. I go to many ministries. You have
somebody to really guide
me, but this Pastor Eze was there. So I was running through many ministries at the same time because I wanted to get out of this thing and know if I can get to where my pastor wanted me to get back. But this guy said, we're going to a village. So I organized some men of God who went to my village, prayed. They said, no, this is not your father. I said, this is my father's house. They said, where did your family migrate from? That's your grandfather's house. I said, oh, that house behind. He said, let's go there. That's where we have to be. So when the house was locked in, we jumped the fence, came in, I opened the door. So the people there, what do I call them, my uncles or whatever, came out and they were surprised. I came with a lot of people to pray there. So, but they couldn't stop us. So we began to pray. The man was asking, where did they bury your grandfather? I don't know. My father have never told me about his father or where he was buried. My uncle that was sitting there, we asked him, he said he doesn't know. When he came back, his father has been buried and all that. That man said, we have to see his grave. We must pray in his grave so that we can release you from there. So they prayed and prayed and prayed. Like for another 2-3 hours, the pastor said we should wait. Where we were standing at the entrance of the house was the grave. Buried. We have been standing there for maybe 3 hours. We go everywhere, we come back there. He asked my uncle,